Okay, well, this is not news that I expected to wake up to. Now, at any point in this offseason, did I make sure to not rule out the possibility of the Saints draft or signing Jameis Winston? See, I can't even say sign right because the draft has been so consuming. I have to delay my undrafted free agent video until tomorrow, actually, because I really didn't expect this to happen. At like 4 a.m., news broke that the New Orleans Saints were signing Jameis Winston to a one-year deal. The deal has yet to be finalized, but I'm going to put this video out anyway because I've been waiting for about 3 hours for the deal to finalize. It hasn't come yet. I can only assume that Jabu is getting his beautiful beauty sleep because he can't eat W's on a tired brain. As you can see in the picture, he is a W connoisseur. He eats all the W's he can. He sucks them straight off of his fingers. So I'm very excited about this dude. Maybe he does go to convenience stores or grocery stores, grab crab legs, and just walk out without even batting an eye at the cashier. But he can still play quarterback pretty well. Okay, I get he threw 30 interceptions, but in this video, we're gonna, kind of talk about how that's an overblown stat. Not because they didn't happen. The 30 interceptions happened and were very detrimental to the Buccaneers. But I'm going to talk about why they can be reduced, should be reduced, and Jameis Winston could be a quality quarterback that could end up playing some football in New Orleans. You could see him and Taysom Hill getting along and doing some type of Drew Brees / Taysom Hill stuff, but without Drew Brees and with Jameis Winston. This one-year deal doesn't really make too much sense to me because today we just re-signed Taysom Hill to another year on his contract. So it's a 2-year, $21 million deal, which is pretty good money for a quarterback like Taysom Hill, who hasn't really proven that he's a quarterback yet, but we'll see. I told you guys that he was the heir apparent. Nobody wanted to believe me except for some of you, and I appreciate you that do. But that's what it's looking to shape out to be right now. So, Jameis Winston. Let's cover this dude. The details have not yet surfaced, of course, like I said, but I will be 100% updating the comment section when they do so that you guys can, go ahead and take a look at that. But Jameis Winston, who is synonymous for his 30 for 30 performance this season, has joined the New Orleans Saints. To be honest, I think the 30 interception rate is bullcrap because he's definitely a damn good quarterback, one that you usually can't find just laying on the streets. Jameis Winston threw last year for 5,109 yards, which is the 8th most in NFL history. He threw 33 touchdowns and, of course, 30 interceptions. But if you take out the first two parts of that stat line and just set them aside, he is a top 10 quarterback in the league last year, probably a top 5 quarterback in the league last year. He just needs to work on his decision making, and what better place to come than New Orleans for doing something like that. What most people refuse to see about that 30 interception number is the fact that Jameis was sacked 47 times. 47 times last season. 47. 47. 47. 47. That is so many. I think Drew Brees was sacked somewhere around 20 times. Jameis Winston was sacked 47. There were points where he was saying screw it and just chucking the ball up into quadruple coverage, praying somebody that wasn't a opposing team member would catch it because he literally had no protection. The Buccaneers currently are hoeing Jameis Winston and doing what they refused to do for years for Jameis for Tom Brady because they're scared Tom Brady will die if they don't, and they're beefing up the offensive line. Like I said, they knew it was going to be a problem for Brady because he's like 456, but they left Jameis out there with garbage and expected him to produce. Another really big problem with why Jameis Winston did do as bad as he did last year with his interception numbers is because of the fact he was playing in Bruce Arians' system. And before all of you say, what? Bruce Arians has a fantastic system. He does. It's great. But it is a very complex system with multiple routes per player, per play that you have to memorize and be ready for. Jameis Winston, we've already established that he is not by any means the smartest tool in the shed. He can play NFL level football. He's, like I said, 5,109 yards, 8th most in NFL history, and 33 touchdowns last year. But he just needs to work on that decision making, and I feel like sitting behind somebody like Drew Brees is definitely a step in the right direction to make sure that you are a polished quarterback that can definitely do what he needs to do for himself to succeed. A way to see that Jameis Winston actually wants this to happen is because he denied a more lucrative deal worth more money from a different place for possibly a starting role to sit behind Drew Brees and learn from him for a year. I don't think Jameis Winston is really looking to be the starting quarterback of the New Orleans Saints. I think it's pretty obvious what's going on with Taysom right now. Who knows? Hell, Jameis Winston could beat Taysom Hill out of that quarterback position. We really don't know. This just adds a whole nother dynamic to the New Orleans Saints organization that's going to make offseason a lot more fun. You want to hear another cool stat? Jameis Winston has completed more passes, 10, to Saints players than Taysom Hill has completed to Saints players at 7. So Jameis Winston in his career has completed 3 more passes to Saints players, even though he was on the opposing team. And Taysom Hill has only, completed 7 passes to Saints players. I think really that shows me how much he wants the New Orleans Saints to win as an organization. He was willing to throw a game every time we played him, just to ensure that we got that dub. Okay, I'm done joking. Let's go over some of Jameis Winston's stats and really get into what we're getting with this quarterback. So in 2018, Jameis Winston had a off year, to say the least. He had 19 touchdowns, 14 interceptions for 2,992 yards. Wasn't the greatest of years, but then again, he was sacked 27 times, so not the greatest offensive line play, but the best he's had in his career. In 2017, Jameis Winston threw for 3,504 yards for 19 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, but was still sacked 33 times. He has not had a year where he has thrown under 10 interceptions, which is a very hard feat to accomplish, but this year was the only one that was super extreme. In 2016, Jameis Winston threw for 28 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. That's about what he'd need to do around that range to be a really good contributing quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. He threw for 4,090 yards that year. I think that this dude could really actually benefit this team a lot. He, like I said, is a really good quarterback. He just has absolutely horrific decision-making, putting him in an offense where he doesn't need to attempt 626 passes. Let me check the last time Drew Brees threw for over 600 passes. Let's see. In 2019, he threw 378 times. In 2018, he threw 489 times. In 2017, he threw 536 times. He hasn't thrown over 600 passes since 2016, where our defense was bottom 5 in the league. Jameis Winston not having to throw 600 passes in a season could really benefit himself, lower those interception numbers while lowering everything else, but lowering those interception numbers importantly. With the weapons we have in New Orleans, I would not be surprised if this dude made a splash at some point and started for a few games. Because like I said, he is an absolutely fantastic quarterback that has poor decision-making skills and an absolutely horrific offensive line. If you didn't know, another thing that may help Jameis Winston in his endeavors is the fact that he got LASIK eye surgery. And I'm not joking. After he threw 30 interceptions on the year, he literally went and got LASIK eye surgery, which is quite fantastic, to say the least. I'm pretty excited to see how this goes. I'm really excited to see if he can contribute at all. Hopefully he can eat some W's in New Orleans, because Lord knows that would be the absolute most funny thing on planet Earth, is if he had a pregame speech like that back in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. I'm kind of glad that we don't have to beat up on him anymore. Cameron Jordan literally owns Jameis Winston, so them being on the same team is really beneficial to my heart. I was always one, because you guys know my dad's a Buccaneers fan. I always wanted to see Jameis Winston do good, but as soon as he would start picking up heat, making a commanding drive down the field, 80 yards, he'd get the most unlucky, tipped off of 3 people interception I've ever seen, and everybody would be like, oh, there goes Jameis Winston again. I think this dude is a lot better of a quarterback than he's given credit for, and I really, really, really want to see him shine. Whether it be with us or not, I hope he takes this tenure with the New Orleans Saints as a really big opportunity to up not only his football knowledge, but maybe polish that decision-making more with quarterback Drew Brees and really anchor down on what he needs to do to become a fundamentally competent quarterback, because that right now, sadly, is just what Jameis Winston isn't. He has shown the ability to pass for a hell of a lot, like a crap ton of yards, a lot of touchdowns. But sadly, he's thrown a lot of interceptions too. So it is what it is. I'm definitely rooting for Jameis, and I think we'll see a lot of improvement from this guy. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll be coming out with an undrafted free agency video tomorrow, since the New Orleans Saints decided to blindside me while I was sleeping in my bed and sign Jameis Winston. I woke up to at least 3,456 notifications about this dude in general. But yeah, undrafted free agency video coming tomorrow, because good Lord, is there a lot to cover. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and I'll see you boys in the next one. Adios. Why hasn't it stopped yet? Oh God, I'm gonna look retarded.